Hey guys, it's Nicholas here from upgradetolife.com and welcome to this extremely important and extremely powerful video which is called Are You Afraid of Fear? The only way to deal with fear, right? The only way to deal with fear long term, not just by flipping it quickly so that you feel good for a day or two, but actually how do we approach fear? How do we deal with fear to not become a slave to our fear? And this is an extremely important topic, in my opinion, when we speak about, consciously living our life, consciously shifting into a desired state. And probably everyone listening to this video, probably, every human at some stage in their life experience some degree of fear. Sometimes it's more fear, sometimes less, sometimes it's coming back again and again. Sometimes, they're just, small phases of fear. But no matter what it is for you, I want to help you right now with this video with the best approach that I learned to approach fear and deal with it the right way. And a quick disclaimer before we jump in, I was inspired to do this video by Rupert Spira. He is a great spiritual and non-dual teacher that you can find if you just type into YouTube Rupert Spira fear or Rupert Spira awareness, Rupert Spira consciousness, whatever you're interested in these deeper fundamental topics, you will find him, and he's really great at explaining things. And he also obviously oftentimes get asked the question, what about my fear? What about my depression? What about my negative thoughts? What about my negative emotions? And the approach to deal with all of that is all the time the same. So this is what I want to point out to you right now in this video. And by the end, if you feel like that you like this video, that it gave you value, that it helped you to have a new way, a new perspective on your fear, then feel free to share this with a friend. Feel free to share this with a family member because, the less fearful this planet becomes and the more love and abundance there shines through, the better it is. So with that, let's just dive right into it and let's talk about the topic of fear, okay? And you will find my summarized explanations. I will comment on them a little bit, but they're actually already really clear and straight to the point. So here we go. Let's talk about it. Now, first of all, if we start to do anything to get rid of the fear, we're usually perpetuating it. And most people try to suppress, ignore, or dance around their fears, right? And fears can have many different shapes and forms. Usually it feels like a tight sensation in the body. You feel contracted, you have a lot of overwhelming maybe emotions and a lot of thoughts in your head, and it all feels fearful. And usually, at least for me, it's located in my throat, and I can feel that it feels tight, and I feel that I can't speak, I don't want to go out. That was at least how it played out for me when I was stuck in this fear, right? And then what we do, that's our automatic response, that what we were conditioned to, is we try to suppress it. We just try to do another activity, do something else, watch a movie or whatever it is, to ignore it. And that obviously helps to a degree, right? You can take a cold shower and this will take your attention away from it for a second and it will be gone. But the question is this really the long-term approach? And the answer is no, because then you will always feel the need to do something to get rid of the fear and dance around it. And then we have the people that are, near to the solution, but still they try to be with their fear because they heard someone out there say, oh, you have to be with it. But they try to be with it. But what they really want, actually, their deep agenda is actually that they want to get rid of it. So they only try to be with it for a second. Oh, yeah, I'm with you, I'm observing you. But actually, deep down, they're just doing it to get rid of it. So it's this subtle difference that makes a difference, right? If you're really, just letting it be, this is something that we will discover later in this video, then this is actually really good. But if you're just letting it be and you say to yourself, okay, now I'm letting it be so that I finally can get rid of the fear and can go on with my life, that's still not the right way to approach fear. And here's a really interesting question that also Rupert Spira asked the audience and also the person that was involved with the fears. And so he asked, what are you actually afraid of the fear will do to you? Right? Because sometimes this fear feels really overwhelming. This fear feels like we're going to die. We'll lose ourselves. We're going crazy. We can never be this old, relieved and free version of us. We will now stay in this fearful state, and it feels really overwhelming. right? That is what most people are afraid of. But actually try to ask yourself, what are you actually afraid of that the fear will do to you? We will uncover this more later in this video. And I can already tell you that dealing with fear is not about trying to do anything. But when a fear comes, you don't have to follow a certain game plan. It's not that you have to write something, say something, do a specific action right now, right? Dealing with fear consciously in the right way and facing it has nothing to do with doing anything. Dealing with fear has nothing to do with an activity of the mind. And we will discover in just a second that it actually is the mind that can be the problem here, because the mind creates this resistance. The mind creates this story around the sensation in your body, which is actually a neutral sensation with like a certain amount of vibrational feeling or intensity, but we then give it a story. The mind then gives it a story that, oh, this is negative. Oh, this is overwhelming. Oh, quickly, you have to get rid of this because this can maybe kill you, but it's not going to happen. So what we want to do, first of all, and after watching this video, you can, if you're all right now in a fearful state, the next time it happens, maybe to you, which might happen, then go directly to the feeling of fear, right? Be knowingly aware of it. And that's basically the complete opposite of what we learn out there, right? So instead of, running away from it, why not just completely, give it space and give our attention to it in a sense. Not that we, are, manifesting that it comes back again and again. Not this sense of attention, but we are knowingly aware of the fear. We are courageous to let the fear be there and realizing that this cannot overwhelm our essential self, which is awareness. But we are aware of it. We are aware of thoughts. We are aware of emotions. We are aware of perceptions, images. Everything is coming and going. But we, as the I am, but the ever-present beingness, is not overwhelmed by anything that is happening. So we want to be aware of it, and this takes a certain amount of courage, right? And at first, you maybe will try to do it, and then still say, "Oh no, I can't do it. That's too strong." But eventually, you will be able to just courageously face the fear and look it in the eye. That is, there are many great quotes on that. But if you can look fear into the eye, it will dissolve. But what we do is we don't want to face it. We say, oh no, you're too bad, you can harm me. But we want to see the fear and look it into the eyes and let it be there. So think of awareness, right, as pure openness, pure being, pure allowing. Awareness does not run away from the fear. It is the mind, right, that thinks that it will be overwhelmed by it. But awareness allows everything. Awareness does not say no to this and yes to this. Awareness is this open, allowing space that you are. So the thing that creates the suffering, the thing that creates the resistance, again, is your mind. So awareness cannot be disturbed or harmed by any feeling or thought. Realize that, right? When you have a negative feeling, seemingly negative feeling, when you have a thought, this is just the flow of life, that you will have emotions and thoughts like this, and then emotions and thoughts like this. But see that you are labeling them. You, from the human standpoint, you are judging them. But awareness is not disturbed by any of these thoughts and stuff. So now what do we want to do? So first of all, fully and completely turn towards the feeling of fear without any resistance, right? I know it is not easy if you're new to this, if you haven't tried this before. Of course, this is, not super easy at first, but I promise you, this is eventually the most freeing thing that you can start to practice and learn and integrate in your life with any feeling that comes. And then you will become, less biased to, oh, these are good feelings, these are bad feelings. You stop judging them. If you have a feeling that previously you would have said, oh, that's a negative feeling, I can't entertain this. This shouldn't be there. Maybe this manifests in something bad. No, you just let it be there. You watch it, you observe it, and you give it the room to just pass through you, pass by like a cloud in the sky. So you remain the sky, and the feeling is allowed to pass through like a cloud, or the emotion, or the fear. So allow the fear, even of the possibility that it might overwhelm you. And that's the thing, right? And I speak from my own experience because, I'm also, experiencing these things, not really often, and definitely to a lesser degree where I think, oh my God, because I already, applied these things in my life for many years. But it still happens, but that's fine, right? That if you remain as that awareness, then you see, oh, it can't overwhelm me as awareness. Yeah, me Nicholas as this ego identity basically might feel overwhelmed by the fear, but that can only happen when you are too strongly in that identity. So allow the fear, even of the possibility that it might overwhelm you, right? This is where you have to be courageous. This is where you have to think like a lion. This is where you have to be your true self and stand strong in a sense in your true self and your awareness. And then you will notice that it can't overwhelm you. Just try it. I know fears can feel overwhelmingly, and they can feel like these tight sensations in the body, in the stomach maybe, or in your throat, somewhere in your body. It doesn't matter. And then the interesting question, right? The interesting question, because many people say, I can't stand this fear. I can't, this fear is too overwhelming. I can't live with this fear. But the question is, who is afraid of the fear? Who is the one that is afraid, right? Who is saying, I can't bear this, or I can't stand this, right? Because when you say, I can't bear this, I can't stand this, who I is speaking here? The true I that you are, the true I that is before you say who you are, before you say what you are, before you say anything, is that you have to know it, right? Without knowing, without awareness, without beingness, there would be no experience. So the I that you essentially are, the awareness can't be overwhelmed. So it is you as a mind complex that feels overwhelmed by, that says, I can't bear this. But has awareness ever been overwhelmed by any feeling? When you look back in your life and maybe you had some like down phases, whatever happened, right? Some seemingly negative experiences, has awareness ever been overwhelmed by this? No, because it can't. So what is fear? Usually, it's basically a sensation in the body combined with a story, right? It is a sensation in the body. It can feel like an intense, for the sake of conversation, I'm going to say vibration, right? It can feel like this really tense and tight sensation is somewhere located in the body. But, and this is what I'm going to show you in the next slide, it is a sensation, but the story makes the fear. The story makes the problem. The story causes the suffering. So what we want to do is we want to explore the sensation. Instead of turning away from it, we want to become interested in the sensation and let it come close, right? Let it overwhelm us. And by just allowing to try to do it, we will see that it can't overwhelm us because we are always bigger than that sensation. We are aware of it. So explore the sensation, go deeply into it, let it come close as you can. Right? Practice this over time. And then the question is it really unpleasant? The actual sensation itself without any story? And you will come to the answer, no. That the sensation itself, right? If you go into the sensation, right, the actual sensation of the fear itself in the body, this vibration in my throat, or at any other part of your body, or right, whatever you feel, that sensation itself that you feel, that without the story actually isn't unpleasant. That's a sensation. The story is what makes it unpleasant and what makes the mind try to get rid of it, ignore it, suppress it, take substances to not be, not engage with it. Or is the unpleasantness added only by thought? Which is what is the case, right? If you only experience a sensation, do you label it as fear? Right? And I always say this to my clients, it's like just how it helped me. Let's say you are with the sensation in the body that you feel this fearful sensation, right? That you label as first fearful sensation, but you are with the sensation, and then you just imaginatively, you take your mind, right, and you place it in another room. So you say, okay, mind, for now, I place you aside, and I as awareness, I want to be with the sensation, right? Because when the mind is there, then it will create these stories and this resistance and all of that. So you imaginatively place the mind and you pause it so that you can give yourself allowance to be with the sensation. So the mind is paused. The mind can't come up with a story, with a interpretation, with a label, with judgment. The mind is paused, and you are just with the fear. And then you will see, wait a second, it's actually not that bad. It's actually just a strong vibration. Okay, perfect. But what is saying that this is fear, that this is negative, right? That this is fear. So is there any inherent fear in the sensation itself? And the answer, right, when you place the mind on pause, just like an exercise basically, the answer is no. It is a sensation. And a good way that you can, compare this with, or that will help you, is just right now, as you maybe sit on your chair, as you sit on your bed and on your couch, if you stand on your standing desk, if you take care of your spine health, wherever you are, right, go to the sensation of the soles of your feet, right? Feel right now the sensation of your soles, right? Your feet touching the ground. Go to that sensation right now. Place your awareness on a sensation of your feet touching the ground, right? Isn't that also a sensation in the body? Isn't that also what you are aware of right now? Because I've told you to place your attention there. And would you label that sensation? Would you label this as bad, overwhelming, fearful, negative? Right? It is a sensation that you are aware of right now, but there is no label to it, there's no story. So you wouldn't label it as any negative thing, right? So compare the neutral sensation of your soles with the sensation in your chest or in your throat or wherever you feel the fear. Compare these two sensations and see that, wow, these are two sensations. My mind is labeling this one as good, this one is negative, this one is, oh, I want to get rid of this fast. Oh, yeah, this can stay because that's not negative, right? Just when you go through life, see that, you have no resistance to positive emotions, right? You like them, you bathe yourself in them, you enjoy them. But as soon as a negative emotion comes, you're like, oh my God, no, this can't be there. This is negative. I need to get rid of this, or I might be overwhelmed by it, or it might suck me down into a depression. But what if you can learn to also let them be without judging and labeling them, and see and allow the full spectrum of emotions without, thinking that the negatives will harm you? And the great thing is, by you doing that, you will elevate your level of consciousness, of awareness, of empowerment, and lesser and lesser will you even have the impression that negative emotions come. You will feel better automatically just because you are more aware, and these things won't face you, and you will become more free, more light, more open, more expansive, more powerful. Right? So compare these two sensations, right? The soles of your feet touching the ground and the sensation of fear, and just the sensation. The mind is paused, there is no story. And then the question is, what is the difference between these two sensations? Right? Maybe one is more intense. Yes, sure. Maybe this one in your throat right now feels more intense, feels a little bit more tight than your feet touching the ground. But is there any other difference? Right? Just experience the raw sensation of the fear without any interpretation. Remember, observing without judging is the highest form of intelligence. If you can watch it, observe it, let it be there, but you don't judge it. You don't bring the mind into this whole thing. Okay? So put no labels on it, such as this is fear, this is unpleasant, this is negative, I have to get rid of it. Just be with it knowingly. Be aware of it knowingly. The sensation of fear without thought wouldn't be known as fear. It wouldn't be as a sensation. Like a new sensation. Oh yeah, that's interesting. But without the label of thought, without your mind saying that is fear, that is negative, it wouldn't be known as fear. So the impulse to get rid of fear only comes from the mind, as we discovered already before. Right? So the only reason, and that is a key point right now in this video, the only reason for suffering is resistance and the thought of fear. Right? Only when you're resisting what is already present in the now. If you go through today, everything is now, and then, for whatever reason you feel a fear coming up, then that fear is present. It is already there. So it already happened, like it is there. So if you try to get rid of it, you are resisting what is present in the now. So let be what is in the now, let it be there without resisting it, without fighting against it. Watch it, observe it, neutrally see it, be present with it, allow it to be there, face it, be courageous, right? Be bold, and see that it can't overwhelm you. And by you doing that, you will, less have the fear of fear, right? Less will you think that when such a thing happens, there is something wrong with you and that you have to stay with that for 2 years until it can move by. No, this can happen really quickly, right? But you're not doing this for the sake of getting rid of it. You actually allow it to be there. And that is the subtle difference that makes all the difference, right? You try to do any sort of technique to get rid of it, or you are actually just for the sake of being with it, right? That is the real thing. So don't make this a practice you undertake to get rid of unpleasant feelings, right? That is the core point. Don't be with it to get rid of it, because then you still have the secret agenda to get rid of it, which will make it stay, come back, and you struggle with that again. Actually, it's the opposite. Open, indifferent allowance to the feeling, to the fear, to the overwhelming emotion, right? You are indifferent, you're open, you're allowing it. You is awareness, right? The mind has its stories, but we want to, disidentify from the mind. Don't be sucked into the mind's stories and just be with the feeling, be with the fear, because these feelings are not against you. They're not coming up to make you suffer, but you create this own suffering by you resisting them. So let them pass through you. It's good that they come up. It shows that you're growing. It's brought to the surface level so that you can face it, that you can be aware of it. And when you do that, it will move by. It will pass through you. This too shall pass, right? So not attaching any meaning, label, or judgment on it. This is the practice, basically. This is the homework. This is the challenge that I give to you right now, is to start living your life more and more observing, watching, and less labeling, putting meaning on things, putting judgment and label on things, good, bad, because that will always eventually make you suffer. Okay. So that is my explanation on fear, right? Are you afraid of the fear? Maybe until this point you were, but now with these explanations, you can learn to face it, to look at that in the eye, to let it be there. You're with the fear and you see, there's nothing bad here. It doesn't overwhelm me. It's okay, right? It's a sensation. I added this meaning to it. I created a suffering for myself by trying to push it away, ignore it, which then made it even stronger, or go away for a second, but then 2 days later, come back even more stronger. So right now with this video, you have, I don't want to say strategy, but you have a guide, you have a way how you can approach your fears and seemingly overwhelming and negative feelings to realize that the mind is creating these stories around those feelings and they're actually neutral, okay? So let me know in the comments down below if this explanation helped you. Definitely give me your feedback on what was helpful, was it understandable, have you questions on it, have you dealt with this before, and maybe if you have already had successes with this approach. And also let me know in the comments down below how you feel right now that you're not fearing fear, now that you feel more empowered, more light, more open, more allowing. And if you want to learn more about manifestation and like a all-in-one approach, not just manifestation itself, but also dealing with fears, dealing with emotions, and shifting states and all of that, watch my free masterclass. That's the first link in the video description. And if you feel at some point that you're ready to go to the next level, if you feel at some point that you want some personal guidance, you want me to team up with you so that we can personally work on your goals, on your life experiences, so that you can live more empowered, so that you can, take Neville Goddard's teachings and all of these, teachings around being aware, facing fears and all of that to manifest your goals and eventually master your fate more consciously. Then you can also apply for a free 45-minute consultation call with Upgrade to Life so that we can find out if we are a good fit to work together. If yes, amazing. If no, no hard feelings involved. And that's it for this video. Speak to you in the next one. Bye, guys.